Well, let me start by saying something that might surprise you. The first 100,000 is the hardest money you'll ever make. Charlie Murray used to say that all the time. He'd say the first 100,000 is and he was right. That first 100,000, it's brutal. It feels impossible. You save, and the number barely moves. The compound interest is so small you can hardly see it. You start wondering if you'll ever get there. But here's what I've learned over 94 years. Once you get to that first 100,000, everything changes. The math starts working in your favor. Compound interest becomes visible. Your money starts making real money. So today I want to talk about something practical. Not theory, not philosophy, but 3 concrete ways to accumulate your first, 100,000 in 2 years or less. Now, I need to be honest with you. When I say easy, I don't mean effortless. I mean straightforward, simple to understand. The path is clear, but it requires work. It requires sacrifice. It requires discipline. Most people won't do what I'm about to tell you. Not because they can't, but because they won't. They'll read this, nod along, and then go back to their comfortable habits. And they'll wonder why they're still broke in 2 years. But if you're different, if you're willing to be uncomfortable for 24 months, you can have 100,000. And that 100,000 will change your life. It will set you on a path to real wealth. So let's get into it. The first way to accumulate 100,000 in 2 years or less, and this is the most powerful one, is to become absolutely obsessed with your savings rate. Let me break down the math for you. If you want 100,000 in 2 years, you need to save about 4,167 per month. That's almost 50,000 a year. That's a lot of money. Now, you might be thinking, Warren, I don't make enough to save that much. And maybe you're right with your current income. But here's what most people miss. Your savings rate isn't just about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Let me give you some examples. Let's say you make $70 in a year. After taxes, you're probably taking home about $52,000. To save $50,000, you'd need to live on $2 an hour. That's extreme. That's living like a monk. But what if you made $100,000 a year? Take home is about $72,000. Live on $22,000, save $50,000. That's tight but doable, especially if you're single and willing to make sacrifices. Or what if you made $150,000, take home around $105,000, live on $55,000, and save $50,000? That's actually pretty comfortable for one person. You're living on more than the median household income in America. So, the first thing you need to do is figure out, can I possibly save $4,000 a month with my current income? If yes, great. If no, we'll talk about increasing income in the second method. But assuming you can, here's how you become obsessed with your savings rate. And I mean obsessed. This has to become your number 1 priority for 24 months. Nothing else matters as much as hitting that 4,000 monthly savings goal. First, you track every single penny you spend. Every penny. I don't care if it's 50 cents for a candy bar. You write it down. You categorize it. You know exactly where your money goes. Most people have no idea where their money goes. They make decent money, but at the end of the month, it's gone. They couldn't tell you what they spent it on if their life depended on it. But wealthy people, we know where every dollar goes. Not because we're cheap, because we're intentional. We make conscious decisions about spending instead of just letting money flow out unconsciously. So get a notebook, get an app, get a spreadsheet. I don't care what you use, but track every expense for a month, every single one. And at the end of that month, you're going to be shocked. You're going to see how much money leaks away on things you don't even remember buying. Once you know where your money goes, you can start cutting ruthlessly. And I mean ruthlessly. For the next 24 months, your only question about any expense is this necessary to survive and function, or is this delaying my 100,000? Housing. This is your biggest expense probably. Can you reduce it? Can you move to a cheaper apartment, get a roommate, move back with family temporarily? I know that last one sounds terrible, but we're talking about 24 months. 24 months of discomfort in exchange for, 100 $100 and a lifetime of wealth. I lived in a tiny apartment when I was young. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't impressive, but it was cheap. And every dollar I saved on rent was a dollar I could invest. Transportation. Can you sell your car and use public transit, bike, walk? If you must have a car, can you downgrade to something cheaper, older, more fuel efficient? I've never owned an expensive car ever, and I'm one of the richest people in the world. The car you drive doesn't determine your wealth. Your savings rate does. Food. This is where most people waste enormous amounts of money. Eating out, ordering delivery, buying expensive groceries, wasting food that spoils. For 24 months, you need to eat as cheaply as possible while still being healthy. Cook everything at home. Buy in bulk. Eat simple meals: rice, beans, chicken, vegetables, nothing fancy, nothing expensive. No restaurants unless someone else is paying. Can you save $500 a month on food? Lawson. I bet you can. Most people spend way more than they realize on food. Entertainment. This one's easy. Cut it to nearly zero. No concerts, no sporting events, no bars or clubs, no expensive hobbies. For 24 months, your entertainment is free stuff. Library books, YouTube videos, parks, walking, hanging out with friends at home. People will think you're poor. Let them think that you're not poor. You're becoming wealthy. There's a difference. Subscriptions. Cancel everything that's not absolutely essential. Streaming services, gym memberships, subscription boxes, all of it gone. If you really need to work out, do body weight exercises at home. If you really need entertainment, use the free options. Clothing. Buy nothing for 24 months unless something literally falls apart. You have enough clothes. You don't need more. Every dollar spent on clothes is a dollar not going toward your $100,000. Now, I know what you're thinking, Warren. This sounds miserable. I don't want to live like that. And I get it. It's not fun. It's not comfortable. But here's the thing. It's only 24 months, 2 years. That's it. And at the end, you have 100,000. You have the foundation of wealth. You have something that 90% of us don't have. And more importantly, you have momentum. You have proof that you can do hard things. You have discipline. You have habits that will serve you for the rest of your life. Most people aren't willing to be uncomfortable for 24 months. They want comfort now. They want to enjoy their money now. And that's fine. But they'll never be wealthy. They'll spend their whole lives wishing they were rich while making choices that keep them poor. So that's the first method. Become absolutely obsessed with your savings rate. Cut everything you can cut. Live like you're broke, even if you're not. Save $4 a month or more, and in 24 months you'll have your 100,000. Now, the second way to accumulate a 100,000 in 2 years, and this works even better when combined with the first method, is to dramatically increase your income through side hustles and over time. Let me be clear about something. Your job, your main job, probably won't get you to a 100,000 in 2 years unless you're already making a very high salary. Even if you're making good money after taxes and basic living expenses, saving $4,000 a month is tough. So, you need to make more money, a lot more money. And the fastest way to do that isn't getting a raise at your current job. It's adding income sources outside your job. Side hustles. This is where young people today have an enormous advantage over my generation. When I was young, your options for making extra money were limited. You could get a second job, maybe. You could do odd jobs for neighbors. But today, the internet has created thousands of ways to make money. And I'm not talking about get-rich-quick schemes or scams. I'm talking about legitimate ways to sell your skills and time for money. Let me give you some examples. Freelancing. If you have any marketable skill, writing, graphic design, programming, bookkeeping, whatever, you can sell it on platforms like Upwork or Fiverr. Let's say you're a decent writer. You start taking freelance writing gigs at night and on weekends. You charge $50 an article. You write 2 articles a night, 5 nights a week. That's $500 a week, $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year. Add that to your savings from your main job, and suddenly hitting $4,000 a month becomes much more achievable. Or let's say you can code. Even if you're not an expert, you can build simple websites for small businesses. Charge $1,000 per site. Do 2 sites a month. That's $2,000 extra per month. $24,000 a year. The key is to find something you can do that people will pay for and that you can do in your spare time. It doesn't have to be glamorous. It doesn't have to be your passion. It just has to make money. When I was young, I had all kinds of side hustles. I sold golf balls I found on the course. I rented out pinball machines. I did whatever would generate income. It wasn't fun, but it built my capital so I could start investing. Overtime. If your job offers overtime, take every hour you can get. I know you're tired. I know you want your weekends, but this is only for 24 months. Work 60, 70 hours a week if you can. Get paid time and a half or double time. Let's say you make $30 an hour. 40 hours a week is your normal it's $200 a week. But if you work 20 hours of overtime at $45 an hour, that's another $900 a week. That's $3,600 a month extra, $43,000 a year. 24 months of overtime could add $86,000 to your 100,000 goal. That's huge. Gig economy. Drive for Uber or Lyft on weekends. Deliver food with DoorDash in the evenings. Do TaskRabbit jobs on Saturday mornings. These apps make it easy to turn your spare time into money. Let's say you drive for Uber Friday and Saturday nights, 6 hours each night. You make $25 an hour after expenses. That's $300 a week, $200 a month, $400 a year. Not enough by itself, but combined with cutting expenses and working overtime, you're getting close to that $4,000 in monthly savings goal. Sell stuff. Most people have thousands of dollars worth of stuff sitting around their homes that they never use. Clothes, electronics, furniture, collectibles, whatever. For the next month, go through everything you own. Ask yourself, have I used this in the last year? Will I use it in the next year? If the answer is no, sell it. Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Craigslist, Poshmark, Mercari. There are so many platforms for selling stuff. List everything. Price it to sell. Get that money and put it directly toward your 100,000. You could easily generate 5, 10, maybe a 15,000 by selling stuff you don't need. That's a huge head start on your goal. Now, here's what I want you to understand about this second method. Increasing your income is not optional. If you want to hit a 100,000 in 2 years, unless you already make a very high salary, you can't get there on savings alone. You need to add income, multiple income streams, side hustles, overtime, gig work, selling stuff, whatever it takes. And yes, this means you'll be working a lot, 60, 70, maybe 80 hours a week. You'll be tired. You won't have much free time. Your social life will suffer, but it's only 24 months. Can you work hard for 24 months to set up the rest of your life? Can you sacrifice 2 years to have financial security forever? I think you can. And I think when you look back on it, you'll realize it was the best decision you ever made. So that's method 2. Dramatically increase your income through side hustles and extra work. Stack income sources. Work more hours. Convert your spare time into money. Combined with method 1, cutting your expenses ruthlessly, this is how you get to $4,000 a month in savings. High income, low expenses, massive savings rate. Now, the third way to accumulate $100,000 in 2 years. And this is crucial because the first 2 methods get you the money. But this method makes sure it actually grows to invest every single dollar immediately and aggressively. Here's what most people get wrong. They save money, and then they leave it sitting in a savings account, earning 1% interest, and they wonder why they're not getting ahead. But 1% doesn't keep up with inflation. You're actually losing purchasing power. Your money is shrinking in real terms, even though the number looks the same. So every dollar you save needs to be invested immediately, not next month, not when you have enough saved up, immediately. As soon as you get it, it goes into investments. Now, what should you invest in? For most people trying to accumulate their first 100,000 quickly, I'm going to recommend something very simple, a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Not individual stocks, not crypto, not complex strategies, just a simple index fund that tracks the 500 biggest companies in. Why? Because it's diversified, it's low cost, it requires no expertise. And historically, it's returned about 10% per year on average. Now, over 2 years, you might not get exactly 10%. The market is volatile short term. You might get 15%. You might get 5%. You might even be down for a while if there's a crash. But here's the thing. You're investing consistently every month, $4,000 or more. So, you're buying at different prices. Some months you buy when prices are high. Some months you buy when prices are low. It averages out. This is called dollar cost averaging. Let me show you the math. Let's say you invest $4,000 in a month for 24 months. That's or $96 invested. If the market returns 10% annually over that period, you'd end up with about a 15,000. You invested 96,000, but you have 105,000 because your investments grew. That extra 9,000 is compound interest starting to work. But what if the market doesn't return 10% in those 2 years? What if it only returns 5%? Then you'd have about 99,000. You're a little short, but you keep going for a few more months and you hit a 100,000. What if the market crashes and you're down 10%? Then you'd have about 88,000 after 2 years. But here's the thing. That's actually good because you've been buying while prices are down. And when the market recovers, which it always does, you're going to have huge gains. The worst thing you can do is stop investing when the market drops. That's when you should invest more aggressively because everything's on sale. So that's the basic strategy. Invest every dollar into an S&P 500 index fund through Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, whatever platform you want. Keep the fees as low as possible and don't touch it for 2 years. Now, here's something else you can do to accelerate your progress. If you get any windfalls during these 24 months, tax refunds, bonuses, gifts, whatever, invest all of it immediately. People get a 1,000 tax refund and they spend it on a vacation or shopping. But if you're serious about getting to 100,000, that entire refund goes into your investment account. Same with birthday money. Same with bonuses. Same with anything extra. Every single dollar that comes into your life for 24 months has one destination, your investment account. That's the level of commitment required. Now, let me address something important. Some of you might be thinking, what if I lose money in the stock market? Isn't it risky to invest everything? And yes, the stock market is volatile. It goes up and down, but over long periods it goes up. It has to because it represents the value of businesses. And businesses on average grow over time. If you're investing for 20 or 30 years, the stock market is one of the safest places for your money. But for 2 years, it's riskier. You might have less than you put in at the end of 2 years if we hit a crash. But here's my perspective. Even if you lose money in the short term, you're building the right habits. You're learning to invest. You're developing discipline. And when the market recovers, which it will, you're positioned to benefit. Plus, if you combine all 3 methods, cutting expenses, increasing income, and investing aggressively, you're likely to hit a 100,000 even if investment returns are modest. Because you're saving so much that the compound interest is almost irrelevant over just 2 years. The real power of investing shows up later after you have that 100,000. That's when compound interest really kicks in. But for now, you're just building the habit and starting the process. So that's method 3. Invest every single dollar immediately and aggressively. Don't let money sit in savings accounts. Get it invested. Let it work for you instead of you working for it. All right, let me bring this all together because this is important. You have 3 methods to accumulate 100,000 in 2 years or less. 1. Become absolutely obsessed with your savings rate. Cut expenses ruthlessly. Live like you're broke. Track every penny. Save $4 a month or more. 2. Dramatically increase your income through side hustles and overtime. Add multiple income streams. Work 60, 70, 80 hours a week if necessary. Convert every spare hour into money. 3. Invest every single dollar immediately and aggressively. Put it in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Don't let it sit in a savings account. Make your money work for you. Now, here's the truth. Most people won't do this. They'll read it, think it sounds too hard, and give up before they start. They'll say, "I can't live that frugally," or "I don't have time for a side hustle," or "The stock market is too risky." And you know what? They're right. They can't because they've already decided they can't. They've already made excuses for why it won't work for them. But some of you are different. Some of you are thinking, "I can do this. I can be uncomfortable for 24 months. I can work hard. I can sacrifice." And if that's you, I'm telling you right now, you will accumulate $100,000. It might take 24 months. It might take 26 or 28, but you'll get there. And when you do, everything changes because that first $100,000, like Charlie said, is the hardest. After that, the second 100,000 comes faster, and the third even faster. And before you know it, you're on your way to real wealth. But you have to get that first one. And that requires sacrifice. It requires discipline. It requires being different from everyone around you. I remember when I was young accumulating my first chunk of capital. I lived in a tiny apartment. I worked constantly. I had side hustles. I invested everything I could, and people thought I was weird. They thought I was missing out on life. But you know what? I was building something. I was creating the foundation of wealth that would compound for decades. I was setting up the rest of my life. And that's what you're doing, too. If you follow these 3 methods, you're not just saving money, you're building discipline. You're developing wealth-building habits. You're proving to yourself that you can do hard things. 24 months of discomfort in exchange for a lifetime of financial security. That's the deal. Is it worth it? I think it is. I know it is because I've lived it and I've seen thousands of other people do it too. So, here's what I want you to do right now. Before you forget, before you get distracted, I want you to commit. Commit to these 3 methods for the next 24 months. Write it down. Tell someone. Make it real. Then, starting tomorrow, start cutting expenses. Cancel subscriptions. Move to a cheaper place if you can. Start tracking every penny. Start looking for side hustles. Browse Upwork. Check if your job offers overtime. Download the gig economy apps. Sell stuff you don't need. Open an investment account if you don't have one already. Choose a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Set up automatic investments. Make it so that every dollar you save automatically gets invested. And then just do it for 24 months. Don't think about it too much. Don't second-guess yourself. Just execute. Save aggressively. Work hard. Invest consistently. Repeat for 2 years. And at the end of those 2 years, look at your account balance. You'll see a number that most ends will never see. The 100,000, maybe more. And you'll realize something. You'll realize you're capable of more than you thought. You'll realize that wealth building isn't mysterious. It's just math and discipline. And you'll be ready for the next phase, building the second 100,000 and the third, and continuing on the path to real lasting wealth. But it all starts with that first 100,000. And it all starts with making the decision to do these 3 things for 24 months. Can you do it? I think you can. The question is, will you? Most people won't, but you're not most people. You've listened this far. You're seeking knowledge. You're trying to improve. So, I'm betting on you. I'm betting that you're one of the rare people who actually takes action, who actually does the hard things, who actually builds wealth. Don't let me down. Don't let yourself down. Do these 3 things for 24 months and accumulate your first 100,000. The hardest H100,000 you'll ever make. The most important H100,000 you'll ever make. Get it done. You've got this. Thank you for listening. Now go make it happen.